Well, many would suggest that the attack that took place today, to call it just an attack or a security breach on Parliament, is understating what many would suggest is an attack on one of the institutions which actually defines our democracy. Joining us now, the senior Aam Aadmi Party leader Raghav Chadha, for his thoughts on what happened. Raghav, you've spoken to your fellow MPs. What exactly did they say?
Well, all my fellow MPs and including myself, I feel that this is not just a mere breach in security at a government building. I think this is an attack, an outright attack on the temple of India's democracy, that is the Indian Parliament. And most unfortunately, it has happened on a day when, in the year 2001, on this very day, the most unfortunate attack on our Parliament happened when some terrorist unleashed violence. I think quite frankly, the questions before all of us today are that have we learnt nothing in the last 22 years? Has the security of the Parliament still not been made foolproof? Who is this member of Parliament who got this person as his guest? Because as we all know, for any person to reach the visitors gallery, there has to be a member of Parliament who endorses you or checks you in as a guest so that you can come into the visitors gallery and watch the proceedings. And thirdly and most importantly, every visitor has to go through 3 levels of checks, security checks. How could this intruder cross 3 levels of checks and yet have in his possession this gas canister or this smoke can? Yeah. Even something as small as a ball pen is not permitted inside the visitors gallery, let alone a mobile phone. How could this person walk into the visitors gallery with such objects? I think these are very important, grave questions before us, and I do hope that those who are responsible for the security of Indian Parliament today do answer this.
Prima facie, Raghav, do you believe that there is a conspiracy? Because as you said, these people breached 3 layers of security at the very least. Do you believe that there's something larger at hand?
Well, all this is a subject matter of investigation, but yes, I certainly feel that Indian Parliament is one of the most protected and secure government buildings in the country. If the Parliament is not safe, how is the country safe? And quite frankly, in this whole episode, I think the role of the member of Parliament of the BJP also needs to be investigated. How could you sign in somebody as your guest? With your own signatures, you bring in somebody as your guest and he does this inside the Parliament. I think his role also needs to be investigated, and people on social media have been commenting that had this been a member of Parliament from the opposition, A, he would have been expelled by now, B, an FIR would have been registered against him, C, sections of the National Security Act would have been pressed, and 4, he would have been labelled as an anti-national and taken into police custody. But simply because it's a BJP MP, perhaps some action has not been taken. I do hope that some action is taken against him by the investigative agencies, and there is a thorough, immediate, swift probe that takes place into this matter, because this is not a small matter. It's an attack on India's democracy. All of us are worried, not just as MPs, but as Indians we are worried. And we do hope that the government gives a statement before both houses of Parliament tomorrow and explains to us what exactly happened and what are the facts.
I think there will be a statement. There will hopefully be an explanation very soon. But be that as it may, do you believe that this entire process of signing in somebody who you've invited, that is lax? Because does an MP necessarily check the credentials of everybody when their PS actually comes and gives them and says, sign this? Number one. Number two, as I understand it, there is no background check. All that happens is the Aadhaar card of the person who wants to visit, right, is submitted, and that's it. And that to me seems to be lax at the first stage.
I'll give you an example, Vishnu. You work at NDTV. You work at the NDTV studios, that's your office. You want a guest to come and see the studio and spend a day with you and watch the proceedings in the office. You sign him in, you bring him in, he is your guest. If he misbehaves or commits a crime, the buck will certainly stop at your desk. People will ask you, the senior management of your channel will ask you, why have you done this? Who is this person? Why did you bring him in? How could he commit such a crime inside the NDTV studios? Just extrapolate this example to the level of the Indian Parliament. If you are signing in somebody as your guest, you are effectively his facilitator and sponsor for him to come inside the premises and watch the proceedings.
Yeah.
Will questions not be asked of you? How could you be so lax? We've just recently seen a case where a member of parliament allegedly gave her login details to somebody and she was expelled for this because she was perhaps lax in her conduct. And there is an inquiry that is going on outside the parliament also. If on such small matters parliament has taken such serious cognizance, I am pretty sure the parliament should and will take cognizance of this matter as well, because this matter involves the security of not just members of parliament alone, but also the security of the Honorable Prime Minister, the Home Minister, the Honorable Vice President, who is my chairman of the Rajya Sabha. All these people, these senior dignitaries and constitutional office holders sit in this very chamber. So I think this is a very, very serious security breach. It must be looked into, very, very seriously. And quite frankly, as an Indian, I feel if the parliament is not safe, then is the country safe?
Yeah.
These are the questions, I think, which are there in the minds of every Indian today.
Is it also your concern and the concern of your fellow MPs that the watch and ward staff in Parliament were quite slow to react? By the time they got involved, several MPs had actually pinned this person down. That, you're the primary defenders in a situation like this. People who actually saved Parliament in 2001 seem to be rather late in getting into Parliament when it happened today.
Well, most certainly all the security protocols that have been pressed into service need to be revisited. The fact that it was the anniversary of the solemn anniversary of the 2001 terrorist attack on our parliament, security, I'm sure, should have been beefed up by the very fact that it was the anniversary, and something similar could be attempted by somebody who's against the interests of our country. Yeah. On top of it, several MPs of my house have commented that there have been credible intelligence inputs with the government of India of threats issued by certain terrorist organizations and anti-nationals of taking or attacking the Indian Parliament during this winter session. So I'm sure that the intelligence agencies beefed up their security system at the premises of the Indian Parliament, and yet something as serious as this could happen. It's something that, I don't know, it really needs to be investigated, and responsibility needs to be fixed, accountability needs to be fixed, and those who are in the wrong, their heads must roll.
Yeah. Look, Raghav, thank heavens everybody is okay, and I think that's the only silver lining in all of this. Hopefully there will be a proper investigation because, as you mentioned, if it's Parliament which can be breached like this, imagine what the situation might be in several other parts of our country. Thank you very much indeed.